is Mia and I'm the lifestyle coordinator at the Overture in Frisco. And today I will be showing you guys how to make a lemon cake that actually was passed down from generation to generation in my family. So we're kind of famous for the recipe. So you guys are getting a treat today. And what you would need for this cake is 1 box of white cake mix. It doesn't matter what kind of cake mix you like. Personally, I'm a Duncan Hines girl. That's just my preference. So I've got that, and then you also need a box of instant lemon pudding mix. So there's where the lemon comes into play. You'll need about 3/4 a cup, more or less, of the vegetable oil, which I like the Crisco. Again, it doesn't matter which kind you use. 3 eggs, and then you'll also need a cup of Sprite. And that's how you make up the batter. However, for the glaze that goes on top of the cake, instead of frosting, we use glaze. And you would need some lemon juice and also powdered sugar. And guys, literally the ingredients to make this cake are so cost efficient. It only took me $10 to make the cake, or buy the ingredients for the cake. And that's including the cake pan that I also purchased. It's just, you know, a temporary foil pan with a lid. And this comes with 2. So if you ever need something sweet that you want to make yourself and it's not too expensive, then I mean, this is one of the ways to go. So what we're going to start off by doing is preheating the oven. So you want to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And then we can start going ahead and mixing in our ingredients while that is heating up. Let's open up the white cake. I always start with the powder-based substances first. I don't know if that's the right way to do it or if it's just my preference, but it's probably just my preference. Okay, so pour the cake mix into the bowl. And then next, of course, we'll go for the lemon pudding mix. I believe that this is the secret ingredient, by the way, that makes the cake so good. Probably this and the Sprite. I always kind of do that to shake it all down to the bottom so that it prevents the messiness. And then after I pour in the powder, I like to take a spoon and just kind of mix everything together and try to get some of the lumps of the cake mix out, just because it, I mean, obviously will make the batter a lot smoother. This step really isn't necessary. I just have OCD, so it's kind of one of the things that makes me feel better about the cake. But for some reason, it actually, all the lumps kind of work themselves out if you don't do this step. So it's really, I mean, honestly, not necessary. It's just me being crazy. So, okay. Alrighty. And I don't know why I always start with, do the eggs last, but I do. So I'll go ahead and measure out the amount of vegetable oil first. And again, we use about 3/4 a cup. If I can get it open. Okay. Of that, and then we'll go ahead and get about a cup of soda, or the Sprite. You can use the regular, like you can use 7-Up, you can use lemon lime soda at Kroger. They're like 88 cents. It's whichever you'd like to use. I already had Sprite on hand, so, and go ahead and crack our eggs in there. Okay, so now that that's done, we will mix it all together. And I like to kind of break the yolk a little bit first so that it's easier to mix. And I also don't really mix it the traditional way. I just kind of use the bottom of the spoon just because, I don't know. It just really kind of, I feel like I have more control over it that way, and it keeps the mess inside instead of outwards, I guess. I don't know, just one of the rituals I've always used whenever I'm making this cake. So, and then once this, all has been mixed together, you'll pour it into the baking dish and then just kind of let it sit while the oven finishes preheating. But it really only takes about 18 to 20 minutes, if that, to bake in the oven. Sometimes it takes a little bit less, and sometimes it takes a little bit more. It depends on how you want your cake. Either way, even though it won't look like it on the outside, it'll look like a normal cake. This cake is very, very moist, so you won't have to worry about it drying out with it being in the oven a little bit longer. I just like a good risen cake, so. Okay, and then if you, are like me and you like less lumps, feel free to use a hand mixer instead of using your own hand to mix the batter. Personally, again, I don't really think it's necessary because the lumps kind of subside on their own. It doesn't bake into the cake that way, like some cakes will, but yes. So I'm just gonna struggle for a little bit getting this wrapping off of the cake pan. And then I'll pour the batter inside the pan. All right, and now let's pour the batter into the pan. Just kind of fold it in there. And honestly, I've never really had to use like any cooking spray or flouring of the pan for this cake either. It doesn't really stick like crazy. It's a very, very simple cake to make. Even if you mess up, it turns out great. So. Okay, and I just kind of spread it around to each corner, make it very evenly distributed across the pan. Don't worry if it's a little bit thin, because it is going to rise just a little bit. You don't want the pan to be overfilled. Okay. Nice yellow color, and I just actually heard the oven beep, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the oven. In about 18 to 20 minutes, I will grab you guys again so that you can see what the finished product looks like, and also how we get the glaze concoction. Stay tuned. Okay, I am back, everyone, and I just pulled the cake out of the oven. I'm gonna go ahead and mix together the glaze really quickly, and honestly, the recipe calls for about a cup of powdered sugar. I'm not a measuring person. I just know what it's supposed to look like. So I'm gonna put some powdered sugar into the bowl. I mean, I've done this so many times that for me, I don't really, I guess, need to measure as well. So, all right, so I've got my powdered sugar in the bowl. Let's go ahead and pour in some lemon juice. Less is more, just because once you start mixing until it's all mixed together and the sugar's dissolved, you don't know what the consistency really looks like. So you don't want to have too much and then have to add more powdered sugar. It becomes a little wasteful because you won't use all of the glaze on the cake. Okay. So once you've got some in there, go ahead and start mixing. So you can see it dissolve a little bit and decide when you're ready to add more of the lemon juice. I'll add more now. Need quite a bit more. Okay. All right, and then you just keep mixing and just keep mixing, and I'll show you guys the consistency of what it should look like towards the end. Okay. I'm gonna add some more. And everything's all dissolved and mixed together at this point, but it's a little thicker than my liking, so I'm still gonna add just a little bit more of the lemon juice, just until I get it to be a little bit lighter. Just a little bit more. And now it's not as thick, so I mean, that's perfect. It's all really smooth, no lumps anymore. So that's how you want it. Now let's move over to where the cake is. So we can pour this on top of the cake. So this is what the cake looks like when you pull it out. And we'll go ahead and spread the glaze. And as you're putting the glaze on the cake, do it in portions because you're going to use the back of the spoon to kind of spread the glaze throughout the cake. You want it to cover the whole top of the cake. I will say that the spoon is a lot easier than all the other utensils I've tried to use for this particular cake. Just some helpful, or hopefully helpful information for you all. Okay. And once the total amount of the glaze, or how much you would like on it, is spread, which again, I I mean, this cake never has any issues spreading. If anything, it actually starts coming apart from the actual pan around the edges, if you can see that. So very simple to make. The glaze is going to dry on the cake like so. And from there, you just cut a piece from the cake and you start eating. So let us know what you think about this video. Please share pictures of your finished product. We are always interested to see. And thank you so much for watching.